there's one super important key that takes us from the lower register on the sax to the upper register. And in this lesson, part 4 of our beginner saxophone quick start course, we're going to be digging into that and also learning a little tune that'll help us put it all into action. G'day, it's Nigel here from Sax School. Hey, thanks so much for joining us back for part 4. Just a quick reminder though, in part 1, we talked about assembling the instrument, the mouthpiece and the reed. In part 2, we talked about tonguing and we learned our first song actually. Part 3, the last lesson, we learned a whole load of notes on our saxophones and a really cool little tune. So that brings us to part 4, and this lesson is for tenor saxophone. So if you're an alto player or a bari player, go check out the lesson for that, or if you want to see any of the previous lessons as well, the links for all of that are down below in the description. Okay, grab your sax, let's get stuck into part 4. So the key that takes us from the low register to the upper register is on the back of our saxophone above our left thumb, and it's called the octave key. Now the octave key is a super important key. It's kind of weird though using our thumb to activate this key, so it's important that we do it in the right way. So the way to do this is once you've got your thumb in the right position, like we learned back in the first lesson, with just the heel of your thumb sat on the button at the back of the saxophone, you should have the tip of your thumb resting on the top of the octave key. And then to push the key in, all we really want to do is the smallest movement just with the tip of our thumb. What we do need to avoid though is moving our hand too much. So if you find that your whole hand and your wrist and even your arm is moving when you go up to push that octave key down, you're doing the wrong thing. So just keep that movement as small as possible, literally just the tip of your thumb. If you haven't heard that term octave before, it simply means the same note but 8 notes above. Do you remember in the last lesson we spoke about how in music we use the first 7 letters of the alphabet, and when you go from A all the way through to G, the next note above is A again. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So the distance between those two A's is an octave. And on the saxophone we've got, 2.5 octaves to play around with in the standard range. So let's now dig into how we can start to use the octave on the saxophone. So let's put the octave key into action with a note, and we're actually going to use it with the note D. So do you remember we learned the note D in the previous lesson? So D is 6 fingers. So with our left hand, 1, 2 and 3. With our right hand, 1, 2 and 3. And we're also going to add that octave key on the back of our saxophone. So all those fingers and your thumb pressed down, D, octave D, which is called middle D, should sound like this. So have a go at that now and see if you can get that sound out too, but make sure all of your left hand keys are down and your right hand ones as well as that octave key, and then our shoulders are relaxed, our arms are nice and relaxed, and we're feeling groovy. Right, here we go. Now the trickiest thing about using the octave key is the transition from the upper octave, which we're in now with middle D, back to the lower octave. So the note directly below D is C. And if you remember, C is played just with your middle finger of your left hand. It sounds like this. So you can see there's lots of fingers that move when we go between C and octave D. So let's first of all just try that finger movement and see if we can get it as smooth as possible. So with C, we've just got our middle finger on with our left hand. Then we need to add all 6 fingers down plus our octave key. So let's start with C and then move your fingers to D and then back to C and then back to D. Now when you move from C to D, you've got to make sure that all of your fingers are moving together, like one movement. We don't want any flippy floppy things like this, okay? So really think about that right hand, that all 3 of those fingers are moving together. Let's try playing this now. We're going to go super slow. I'd like you to start every note with your tongue, and we're going to start with a C, and then we're going to move to D, and just go backward and forth a couple times. Here we go. So if you're getting any little flippy floppy notes in between like this, That means your fingers aren't moving together. You could check yourself in a mirror actually, just to make sure what's happening with your fingers. And one other thing to think about is keeping those fingers as close to your keys as possible. That just makes it more efficient. Okay, now we know that movement, let's put that into action with a song. And I've written a fun little song for this lesson called DC Blues. Yeah, not too imaginative with the name. And also it's not technically a blues, it's more of a Latin thing, but it doesn't matter, it's fun. So this song is easy because it uses the same phrase that's repeated 2 times. So I'm going to play the phrase with the backing track now, and then we're going to get stuck in and learn how to play it, you and me. So here's what it sounds like. Okay, so I told you it was pretty easy. Let's learn the notes. So we're going to start on the note D. Remember, we've got all 6 fingers down and our thumb at the back. And then we're going to go from D, we're going to hold that for 2 counts, and then we're going to go to the note C for 2 counts, then back to D for 2 counts, then back to C for 2 counts, up to D for a 3rd time, and back to C for a 3rd time. And then the last bar goes like this, D, C, D. So let's just try that movement together. D, C, D. Okay, so that's the entire pattern. Now let's try just doing our fingers, but do it in time. Here we go. Grab your sax, get your D fingers ready. Got that octave key on too. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, C, D, C. 3rd time. D, C. Here's the tricky bit. D, C, D. So if you need any extra time, just go back and have a look at that movement, particularly your right hand and the coordination between the 2 hands when we go back down to C. But if you're ready, let's get stuck in and try playing this with the backing track now. So we're going to get a 4 count in, and then we can start playing with the backing track. But don't forget, if you need to, you can use the player controls to slow down the video just to make it a little bit easy. Okay, let's have a go. Awesome. Just 2 more quick things to tell you. And first is that 4-bar phrase we just played happens a 2nd time. And then after that, the only other thing that happens in the song is the very last note. And for us, that's a nice long D. Okay, I think we're ready to go with playing this song through with the backing track. So I'm going to pop the track on now and we can play it through together. Keep those fingers close to the keys. Use your tongue to start the notes. Breathe nice and deeply. Let's have some fun. You know, you should be super proud of yourself because in just these 4 short videos, you've gone from learning how to put your mouthpiece together all the way through to learning 3 cool tunes and a bunch of skills that will set you up for really learning amazing stuff on your saxophone. What are you going to do now? Because the next steps are really important to you. You need to get the right courses, the right lessons, and the right support from great teachers to really keep your momentum going. And that's one of the things that I've been building Sax School all about for the last 10 years. It's also why we've helped thousands, tens of thousands of students. So if you'd like to find an easier way to really get moving with your progress, whether you want to learn jazz or pop or music for church or classical music, maybe you just want to learn for yourself so you can play at home for your family and friends, Sax School is going to help you to get there. There's over 1,000 lessons in there, organized into clear learning pathways and courses. Plus, we've got a huge team of teachers now, and we do live things every month where you can come along and get direct feedback from a teacher. Basically, there's everything in there that you need to help you make fast progress, and that's why our students do so well. I'll put a link in the description down below where you can grab a 14-day trial that's running at the moment, and I'd love to see you in there and start helping you inside Sax School and see what you're able to do on your saxophone. Now, even if you're not ready just yet to get started with Sax School, please go check out all the other stuff on the channel here. There's so much that's going to help you. Okay, keep practicing hard. I'll catch you next time.